So what a race it was last time out. Freddie Gray taking the victory right at the last second at the expense of Sergio Perez and obviously Sebastian Vettel finishing behind him. It was a Ferrari 1-2 last time out, and Freddie heads into China in the championship lead. He is leading the Drivers' Championship at the moment. But guys, I do have a little bit to say about the series. I would appreciate it if you watch the next minute or so. I'll try not to ramble on too much, but more or less with this series, obviously because I have exams coming up, if you didn't know already, in May/June sort of time. So I'm not going to have time to produce these episodes regularly, and unfortunately this may be the only series on my channel throughout my exams. Obviously these videos take very long to make on their own, and because of that I'm making them a little bit longer. You might notice today's episode around China is around about 25 minutes. They will probably be sort of around that length just to make up for the lack of content on the channel, but you guys have really enjoyed the series so far. I want to thank you for the support so far. Really do appreciate it, and my channel really has actually been getting quite a few subscribers from this series lately, which I didn't actually expect, to be honest, but I'm really glad it has done, and thank you for anyone who's new to the channel and has subscribed. But more or less what I want to talk about is the future of this series. So I'm not really too sure what to do with it exactly, because once F1 2016 comes out, I'm assuming it will be end of June/beginning of July. I haven't actually, well, as I'm commentating on this, nothing has been announced in regards to F1 2016 in terms of the launch date, but yeah, so basically what I'm planning on doing is perhaps maybe moving it over, this series over to F1 2016 once the game comes out. So for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, it will move to F1 2016 basically. That's what I'm planning to do, guys, because to be honest, it would just be pointless carrying it on in F1 2014 with all these mods once F1 2016 out, and once all the hype is, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of hype around that game. If you guys haven't heard, the safety car is returning, and it sounds like Kuruma is actually really good again, like really immersive and everything. Almost probably like F1 2010 by the sounds of it, so, you know, it's going to be good, and I think probably moving on to there might be best for the series. I hope you guys are all okay with that. If you do have any thoughts on it, leave it down in the comments below. But that's more or less what I'm going to do from now on. So basically, every episode up to Canada will be on F1 2014. Every episode after that will be on F1 2016. So hopefully you guys are all okay with that. And yeah, without further ado, guys, let's get into Bahrain now for the qualifying report. Sauber and McLaren struggled, failing to achieve lap times quicker than the 1 minute 41 dead, and occupied the back two rows. Indonesian driver Rio Haryanto was ecstatic with his performance as he sealed P14. Hassan Renault endured very mediocre sessions, with their drivers securing midfield grid positions. Red Bull were bitterly disappointed with their qualifying display, with both drivers missing out at the top 10. Taking advantage of Red Bull's mishap was sister team Toro Rosso. Verstappen and Sainz edged into the top 10. Force India are full of confidence after Perez's Bahrain podium, and their qualifying in China further reinforced their pace, collecting 5th and 6th. Valtteri Bottas outqualified teammate Felipe Massa as the Finnish driver is still searching for his first points of the season. Ferrari took up 2nd and 4th place, with Vettel getting the edge. Lewis Hamilton took his 3rd consecutive pole position of the season, as the Brit was aimed to take his first victory of the 2016 season. It was another reasonable qualifying session for Freddie Gray, as he heads into a race where he hasn't performed too well in the past, but this time he's aimed to build some competition on his teammate and the two Mercedes drivers. It is time for the Chinese Grand Prix.
Okay, so we're expecting changeable conditions in today's race, so it could be exciting. Come on, Freddie.
So a reasonable qualifying yesterday for Freddie Gray, 4th position on the grid. Haven't got much higher yet this season, but I'm sure that will change very soon as the lights are about to go out here for the Chinese Grand Prix, and we are underway. Up into 2nd gear straight away. Vettel, our teammate, getting off to an incredibly poor start. We may actually got the inside of him, heading now down into turn 1. The two Mercedes gone off pretty well. Rosberg remaining in 2nd, with Lewis Hamilton in 1st position, going up the inside of Sebastian Vettel, heading into turns 2. Now getting a little snap of oversteer there, actually midway through the braking zone. So very strange there to say the least. And it seems as if Vettel has dropped back considerably. Now Valtteri Bottas is behind us in 4th, with the other Williams of Felipe Massa in 5th. Obviously 2nd place in the championship currently. So Felipe Massa having a brilliant season at the moment, but now we are bearing down on the Mercedes NICO Rosberg, heading into turn 6, I believe. It's almost clipping the back of NICO Rosberg's car. The rear of his car, they're braking incredibly early, and obviously with realistic damage, we do need to be careful with the back of the AI, and they do brake quite early on this game. That is just the theme of this game, unfortunately, sometimes in the braking zones. But yeah, remaining with Rosberg and Hamilton in sector 2, and actually our pace so far, I know it's only lap 1, so we can't really, you know, draw too many conclusions from this, but at the moment we seem to be keeping the Mercedes quite well, actually on relatively equal tyres, so this is quite promising for the rest of the race. Now Rosberg actually going defensive on the inside. We've actually taken him back around the outside, so Nico Rosberg completely backing off there and gifting Freddie second position already, so a brilliant start is being gaining 2 positions already, and Lewis Hamilton is more within striking distance. He's pulled away slightly on the back straight, but now on the pit straight beginning of lap 2 we are massively gaining the Mercedes driver here, darting to the outside. Lewis Hamilton not quite in a reasonable overtaking position, actually almost diving up the inside of turn 2 there unexpectedly, but just thought better of it really. Just need to take it cautiously, take it easy for now. Obviously your engineer said at the start of the race changeable conditions are expected, so you're going to have many more opportunities to try and overtake or jump Lewis Hamilton, but we do seem very close at the moment. Only 2 tenths of a second is the gap. Rosberg a further 8 tenths of a second behind, so really are closing in on Lewis Hamilton. Just got to be patient now, and I think our best opportunity will be the back straight. Obviously DRS enabled on the next lap, so this lap we're just going to have to use the rich mix and obviously just the straight line speed we have in the Ferrari. The setup this weekend that Freddie is using is more actually aided for straight line speed, which may not, it may hamper him actually in the wet conditions later on perhaps. Because our engineer did say changeable conditions are expected, so we may be seeing some rain later on as Lewis Hamilton goes defensive. Freddie goes to the outside line. Rosberg is there clipping his rear tyre actually, luckily not resulting in any damage for either Rosberg or Freddie, but now Freddie is right on the back of Lewis Hamilton. Can he perhaps overtake him here on the back straight? Bearing down on him now. You can see him gaining here from the aerial shot. Look at this. Look at the straight line speed advantage that Freddie has over Lewis Hamilton. The slipstream on this game is incredibly OP, and he's breezed past Lewis Hamilton up into the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix already on lap 2. It's been a pretty action-packed start so far, but Freddie runs completely wide, gets a wheel onto the curb, locks up, runs ever so slightly wide, but I think he has remained ahead of Lewis Hamilton for now. So far a reasonable start, and it's just a question now really of when the rain arrives. And actually looking behind there, I think there was actually a car that ran wide. I believe that was the Williams of Valtteri Bottas. It's been a very difficult start of the season for him so far, as we completely mess up that corner there before we enter the back straight, and Lewis Hamilton, both Mercedes cars are right on us, and Sebastian Vettel, our teammate you can see on the mini-map, is now back up into P4. Lewis Hamilton is pulling alongside us on the outside. He will have DRS, as will Rosberg and also Sebastian Vettel. It's going to be 3 abreast here on the back straight between Freddie and the 2 Mercedes cars. Possibly Vettel could join in as well. My goodness me, look at all of this. And Hamilton is going to try and hang it around the outside of the hairpin. So much action going on so far. Rosberg on our inside, he prevails, backs off. Lewis Hamilton is now in the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. You can see the Williams there trying to overtake Sebastian Vettel around the outside of the final corner. Eventually backs off, but my god, what a crazy couple of laps this has been. Look, 2.7 seconds. That's how much time we lost in that, on lap 4 alone, as we are getting on Lewis Hamilton DRS. Oh my word, that was close. A very close shave there between Freddie's front wing and the rear of Lewis's car. Really getting up close and personal with the back of Lewis Hamilton's car. But currently 6 cars are in this battle for the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. Hamilton, Rosberg, Freddie, Vettel, Massa and Daniel Ricciardo. So a really crazy Grand Prix so far, but what we've got to try and aim to do is overtake Lewis Hamilton on the straight on this lap, and hopefully we can just pull away from him even further before the rain comes down, because obviously our setup is not aided for wet conditions whatsoever. We've just got to prepare now for whenever the rain falls. We're going to try and perhaps make him on the inside of Lewis Hamilton, think better of it in the end, but we are going purple at the moment, 2 tenths up on our personal best, and really are setting the pace at the moment, a lot quicker than Lewis Hamilton. But I doubt the guys behind us are much slower realistically, but we will get DRS on this back straight, the longest straight on the whole of the Formula 1 calendar. We're going to overtake Lewis Hamilton with ease here, almost breathe past him before we even opened up the DRS there. So our straight line speed obviously very much aided for the straights rather than the corners, which may, as I said before, may make us struggle in the wet conditions.
Brilliant battling there, mate. You should notice a drop in track temperature over the next few laps though. Rain is on its way.
So very interesting there. So our engineer is confirming now that the track temperature is due to drop in the next few laps, so the rain could fall then, as we do set our personal best lap at the Grand Prix, a 1 minute 41.6. Now we set a 1 minute 41.5, but look at the sky, guys. The blue sky's completely gone. The clouds have covered the track.
We're going to need you to come in for a set of primes. The track isn't wet enough for inters yet.
So it seems that the Ferrari team don't want Freddie to brave it out and try a few more laps on the dry tyres before the rain falls. They want us to come in this lap on our scheduled pit stop lap for a set of prime tires, which is interesting because look now, the rain is beginning to fall, so this could be a mistake, and guys like Vettel, guys like Lewis Hamilton, I think, are staying out an extra lap, or it might even be Nico Rosberg, not Lewis Hamilton, sorry, but into the pits onto the prime tyres now. We're just going to have to wait and see how this all pans out. It's going to be very interesting to find out, because the track is actually getting wet incredibly quickly by the looks of it. Definitely from my previous screen here, it looks very wet to me, so we're just going to have to see how this all goes. We're going to rejoin behind the two Spaniards, Fernando Alonso and obviously Carlos Sainz Jr., So, and actually looks as if our DRS has just stopped working for some reason, which is, well, handy to say the least, seeing as we've now got the wet conditions, where we won't be using DRS anyway. So now, on the back of Fernando Alonso, he's on old option tyres, and the rain is really beginning to fall down now. It's getting very heavy indeed, so we could even be on the wet tyres before we even reach the intermediates. We do make a move around the outside of Alonso, and he just turns to the side of us, and now we've lost a little bit of our front wing, and we're going to have to make an extended pit stop when we pit in for intermediate tyres. But that was just really stupid driving there from Fernando Alonso. Not really too sure what he was trying to do. From our POV, it looked like he just turned straight into the side of us. But nonetheless, we've just got to get over that quickly. And now we're on the back of Carlos Sainz Jr. No longer, because Freddie dives up the inside of the hairpin, up into P8 now. And I think all the cars ahead of him are now due to pit in. Rio Haryanto, yep, it seems as if they are. Sebastian Vettel pitted in just earlier on. You can see on the other side of the minimap, whilst we were gaining on Carlos Sainz Jr. All the cars now into the pits on our right-hand side, and we are miles ahead of Sebastian Vettel, in fact. So this has worked out an absolute treat, and I think he is on the dry tyres.
Okay, Freddie, a heavy rain shower is hovering about the track. It might be a couple of laps before we put on the wet.
So it looks as if it will be actually a couple of laps before it turns to wet conditions. So we've got a real decision to make here at the Ferrari team. I think it will take a while for the track to get to that stage where it will be good enough, or sort of at the optimum sort of temperature for the wet tyres. We've just got to wait and find out, see what happens, and of course, typical of this series, the safety car is now out. We've got a triple crash by the looks of it. 3 cars are now out of the Grand Prix. So let's see what the team have to say now. I don't know what we're doing here, still out on track. Look at the rain.
Okay, so don't worry, every other car is fitting into us. We'll rejoin towards the back, but we'll be on the correct compound.
Ah, so that makes sense now. So it seems as if every other car is in the pits for intermediate tyres, but because the rain's really coming down incredibly heavily now, I think we will be going onto the wet tyres earlier than everybody else. So it looks like we will be sort of cutting out a pit stop here. As you can see, Freddie is about to select the wet tyres, and indeed he is. So this could really work out to our advantage, an absolute treat here. Vettel currently still in second, Hamilton in third, so the order hasn't changed too much, but it really could do once we pit in. And we have rejoined behind the Spaniard of Fernando Alonso once again. Decided to cut out that pit stop, obviously because we had the front wing change as well. So we've rejoined behind Fernando Alonso, and looks like the Manor of Rio Haryanto, and just ahead of the Renault of Kevin Magnussen. So essentially what's going to happen here is all the AI will pit in at the end of the safety car period, more or less, for a set of wet tyres. It does seem as if the skies have actually got a little lighter, so just to make a race of it, guys, I decided to pit in with all the AI for the wet tyres, because if I continued, I would have had a massive lead, and the rest of this race would have just been dull and boring to watch. So I was just doing this for you guys here, just for more entertainment for the videos. We're going to go into the pits now. Vettel, I think, has literally just left his pit box, so he may be held up a little bit. In fact, no, he's already left it, thankfully. So it has worked out for us. We get held up a little bit, but I think we're more or less still in the same position. In fact, gaining on a lot of cars, we're having to double sack, so we have gained actually quite significantly here, and we are in 9th place. Freddie is behind Lewis Hamilton and just ahead of the Williams of Valtteri Bottas. So actually not too bad. Now we've got a race in our hands here, guys, to the end of the Grand Prix, and in fact the rain is really actually beginning to die down a little bit. In fact, the sky's getting quite light as we now go straight into the back of Lewis Hamilton, and we lose another front wing end plate. So really, we just need to stop doing this, guys. Ferrari do not have that many front wings. They probably have a limited amount, but as I was saying, the skies are getting ever so slightly lighter. Obviously, our engineer did say it was only a heavy rain shower, so the rain should die down very soon. The track should get drier. And actually, look at that, as a Manor currently in P6. What on earth is this Grand Prix turning into? My goodness me. But we are currently seen to have very supreme pace and traction over the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. We breeze our way around the outside. My goodness me. Look at the pace Freddie has at the moment, considering that his setup's not aided for the wet conditions. He's doing an incredibly great job at the moment. Just look at all of this. Now he's getting on Fernando Alonso. I want to see who the Manor is. The Manor is, in fact, PASCAL VEHRLEIN. We do a switchback undercut manoeuvre there on Fernando Alonso up the inside of him, and we are now up into P7, now behind the MANOR Mercedes of PASCAL VEHRLEIN. Oh my word. I mean, it'd be great to see MANOR actually score points in the real life Grand Prix. It could have even happened in Bahrain, I'm actually not too sure. But it probably wouldn't have done, honestly. If that did happen, I'm going to look like a complete mug right now. But anyway, PASCAL VEHRLEIN has been overtaken around the outside. Now onto the straight. And our pace seems really quite promising at the moment. So we could even catch back up to our teammate Sebastian Vettel. The AI obviously seemingly struggling in the wet conditions. Very unlike them, because normally the AI are very OP in these sort of conditions, but obviously not. And now we lose another end plate of our front wing. Oh my word. So hitting the bollards with the realistic damage mod is not a good match whatsoever. Now we're going to have to pit in more or less for a new front wing. Let's see us turning into turn 1. Let's see how much understeer we get. Actually controlling it relatively well, as we broke pretty damn early for turns 1 and turns 2. Now onto the back of Max Verstappen, the 20-year-old Dutchman. No, he's not 20 years old, is he? He's only 18 at the moment. I don't know why I'm getting ahead of myself there. 2 years ahead of myself in 2018. But nonetheless, we are now up into P5, and now Nico Hülkenberg is in P4, and I'm not quite sure he's in P4. I believe it's actually the Haas of Romain Grosjean, who's having an incredibly good race. Obviously, these guys have really benefited from the safety car period, and obviously the timing of the wet conditions. The track is still raining at the moment, but is easing ever so slightly. So hopefully our engineer will be able to give us an update on the conditions, on the future conditions in the next few laps. But now, being cautious on Hülkenberg and Grosjean, not going to rush into making a move. We've already lost the majority of our front. We don't want to lose any more to make our car completely impossible to drive. But now actually going around the outside of both Grosjean and Hülkenberg, get a huge snap of oversteer when trying to pass Grosjean. The dirty air, they're really getting in our way. But thankfully we make the move stick around the outside of both Grosjean and Nico Hülkenberg.
Okay, so the track will be slowly drying out over the next 10 laps. There's a chance we'll be on dry tyres before the end. Pit in for Inters.
So our engineer wants to pit in now for the intermediate tyres. Personally, I wouldn't have done this now. It still seems more or less like wet tyre conditions, but obviously our team, you know, they beg to differ, and it seems if we did get held up massively there, obviously because Sebastian Vettel pitted in earlier on, we're being held up hugely here, so we've been affected there, because our team more or less forced us to double stack with Sebastian Vettel. So, but I don't think we've really lost too much time. We are down in P8, so we have lost a couple of positions, but they should be gained quite easily. And we are still in P6. We've lost out to Verstappen, who's actually really benefited. We passed Verstappen ages ago, but was obviously he managed to jump us because we got held up in our pit box because Sebastian Vettel pitched in a little bit early. And actually getting a huge amount of understeer out of the exit of turn 2, or heading into turn 2. So maybe it is a bit too soon for the intermediate tyres. Only time will tell, really. But we still seem to have the pace advantage over guys like Grosjean. I believe it is Max Verstappen who has just overtaken the Haas F1 car, obviously on the back straight. We're going to try and overtake him into turn 1 now. We do back off at the last second. Don't want to risk anything now. I don't want to lose my front wing again, but we do make the move, thankfully, make it stick up the inside of turn 2, and now the next car is obviously Max Verstappen once again. We've already passed Verstappen and Grosjean once this Grand Prix, and I can't believe I've just done that again. Oh my word. The amount of times that we've done that in the Grand Prix, the thing is though, the AI goes so slowly on the apex in the wet conditions, it's honestly impossible to avoid them, but thankfully we overtook Verstappen eventually. But the safety car is now back out, along with dry conditions. Really, the conditions changed so much in the last couple of laps. Blue skies are now here, and soon it will be sort of dry tyre conditions. You can see a real big dry line is actually forming here. Just look at this. The track is more or less dry in those 2 laps.
Alright, Freddie, we're going to ask you to double stack with Seb on lap 21, so stay out for one more lap.
So our engineer wants to double stack with Sebastian Vettel on lap 21. So obviously they don't think that the dry tyre conditions are here yet. So we've just got to wait and see, try and overtake Massa and the likes of Hülkenberg. But the double stack with Sebastian Vettel may lose us quite a bit of time in this final step. We are going to fit on the option tyres, obviously, to have, you know, the fastest tyres, the fastest compounds to the end of the race. But now the restart is going to get underway soon. Sebastian Vettel is in first, and I believe it is Nico Hülkenberg in second place. So Felipe Massa and Ferrari, obviously ourselves in fourth, and the restart is now underway. Green flag, resume racing. We are back underway, and obviously, basically, we're just going to have to really find every single wet line possible. There's still a little bit of spray coming off our tyres, but realistically, perhaps we should have pitted in on the last lap for a set of dry tyres, because at the moment, just look at it, it's more or less dry tyre conditions, and I think we would have coped fine, but the intermediate's still holding up quite well at the moment, as we really are gaining on Felipe Massa already, getting so, it seems to actually have a really good grip through the tight twisty corners, something that I didn't think I'd say, and we're going to make the move round the outside. What a move that was, around the outside of turn 3 and turns 4. What a move on the Brazilian driver there, Felipe Massa. Now, we are due to pit in this lap, and Freddie should follow Hulkenberg into the pits, but he doesn't. What on earth is this about here? So Freddie Gray decided to stay out an extra lap, which will obviously lose him so much time, because look, it is more or less dry out there now. So we are basically on a track not suited to these tyres whatsoever. Just look at the amount of understeer we're getting. Freddie obviously not wanting to pit onto the dry tyres.
Freddie, we need you to box this lap.
So our team not happy at all. They are really not happy with what Freddie has done. And look at that. Sebastian Vettel already overtaking him before he enters the pit. So this is how much time Freddie has lost here by staying out, not wanting to double stack with Sebastian Vettel. And he has more or less ruined his own race. But there's still time left in which to gain or salvage any sort of points. We will obviously be outside the points by the looks of it. We've got to wait and see now as we go out the cinematic now. We are currently in P10. But it does seem as if the likes of Sergio Perez will overtake us. We are now down to P12. Possibly even P13 behind Valtteri Bottas, and maybe even P14 behind Kevin Magnussen. Yes, we have. We've reached on behind the Renault of Kevin Magnussen, so really has not gone to plan so far.
Alright, so thanks to your doing, we're now in fucking P14. We've got to salvage points at least.
Whoa, someone call the ambulance. Oh my god, the Ferrari team are not happy with Freddie's antics whatsoever, and they're expecting him to salvage points at the least. But he's already got one step close to that, overtaking Magnussen up the inside of the turn 6 hairpin. A good move on the Renault driver there. The Renault livery, the actual Renault livery, will be in for the next episode. Screw you, FOM. So, a good move there by Freddie, and now he's on the back of the Renault of, the Sauber, sorry, of Marcus Ericsson. Get my words mixed up again. Only 4 laps to go now, and really points are looking unlikely, and it seems as if Freddie has pretty much ruined his own race for himself today. Obviously, the Ferrari team, they're far from impressed, so it's going to be a bit of a controversial end. It's going to be the main talking point, really. Freddie Gray ignoring Ferrari's team orders. The amount of times that Ferrari obviously adopted team orders over the years throughout their history in Formula 1, especially in the 21st century, is going to, be a huge talking point. And Freddie is not going to be on their good ends whatsoever today. But now, on to lap 26. Only 3 laps to go now, obviously including this one. We've now closed into Valtteri Bottas, onto the back of him, and also Fernando Alonso. And I think the car ahead of Alonso is a Force India. Yes, it is Sergio Perez. We need to overtake Bottas and Alonso here to have any chance of salvaging at least a point from this Grand Prix. That's what we've got to aim for now. Obviously, not every Grand Prix is going to go to plan, guys. There will be these little blips in between. Not every Grand Prix can be perfect. It's obviously more exciting having a little blip rather than finishing first in every race. We are gaining hugely on the McLaren Honda of Fernando Alonso. May even dive it up the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Are we going to be in P10 here? Yes, we are. Ever so slightly cutting that corner, but I think we just about stay within the track limits. Alonso is also having a go on Bus. Going to try and take the position back around the outside, but he doesn't manage in doing so. Bottas holds it and maintains it for now. Good defensive driving from the Williams driver. We set a 1 minute 39.2. We are now in P10 with only 2 laps to go. Now back onto the back straight once again. We're going to get the DRS here on Sergio Perez, but actually we're over a second behind, so maybe not. Let's see whether we were within a second before the DRS detection point. Let's see now. Yes, we were. We were within a second, and thankfully we will get the DRS on the Force India driver, the Mexican driver here, Sergio Perez, after sealing a podium in the last race in Bahrain. Obviously, it hasn't gone quite to plan for him today. Down in P10 now, obviously, because we just overtaken him up into P9. So unfortunate there for Sergio, but it can't happen every time, and it really was sort of, I wouldn't really say it was a fluke for Sergio. It was a very good drive from him, but obviously the strategy call last time out really pretty much won him, or more or less sealed that podium for him last time out. But now, on the final lap here, guys, we have 3 cars ahead of us. Can we at least overtake one of them? The MANOR of PASCAL VEHRLEIN, who is currently in P8. My goodness me. What a result that could be for him. But Freddie here is determined to take that off him and seal P8 at the expense of the German driver. We're going to try and dive it down the inside of him without the DRS. Can we do it here? Our teammate Sebastian Vettel has won the race, and we dive it on the inside of PASCAL VEHRLEIN. A late diving move. What a move that was, actually. VEHRLEIN didn't really put up much of a fight. He's still going to seal points. As you can see, what a move that was, as Ricardo, I think, or it might even be Danny Kvyat, has just about maintained the position at the expense of Esteban Gutierrez. As we come across the line now for P8, a disappointing race.
A solid final stint, but we need to have some words about your actions today. This is just absolutely just unacceptable.
Yep, so the team, as expected, really not too happy, and there will be a lot of talking being done back behind the scenes at Ferrari. But actually, looking at the results, Sebastian Vettel won, Felipe Massa second, and the other Force India of Nico Hülkenberg on the podium. What an achievement for him, and Verstappen matching his best result from 2015. 4th position, and Lewis Hamilton actually only in 5th place at the end, unable to overtake Verstappen, which is a surprise to say the least. Kvyat finishing in 6th ahead of Romain Grosjean, it wasn't Esteban Gutierrez. Grosjean sealing 7th place and another 6 points for Haas. Obviously, Freddie finishing in 8th in the end. Obviously, not every Grand Prix is going to go to plan, not every Grand Prix will be great. WEHRLEIN 9th and Sergio Perez at 10th, and Bottas just finishing outside the points. But now looking at the Drivers' Championship, now Felipe Massa, thanks to his 2nd place, takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. But he is actually having a really good season so far. 3 races in and he's still leading the Drivers' Championship. Freddie Gray only a further 6 points back, and Vettel only 4 points behind Freddie now. Obviously, Sebastian won today's Chinese Grand Prix, so a great drive from him. Really just a faultless drive, really. Ever since the rain came out, he just really had no challenge whatsoever, and Freddie couldn't really ever catch back up to him. Lewis Hamilton in 4th with 22 points, 21 behind Vettel. Verstappen in 5th with 20. Hülkenberg jumps ahead of Sergio Perez. Obviously, he has 19 points. Perez has 16. Palmer still in 8th thanks to his podium back all the way in Melbourne. So brilliant from him. Carlos Sainz Jr. still with 12. Button in 10th with 12, and Fernando Alonso in 11th with 8 points, and Rosberg actually not even in the top 11 of the Drivers' Championship. Rosberg did in fact retire from today's Grand Prix, guys. I think that was why the final safety car was deployed. I think Rosberg did have an incident with another car. I think that was why he retired from today's Chinese Grand Prix. So a shame for him so far, but it does seem it is really shaping up for it to be an interesting year, guys, in terms of the championship. A very unexpected contender in the form of Felipe Massa. Now look at the constructors. Ferrari are absolutely dominating. They are a good 37 points ahead of Williams, and Force India surprisingly in 3rd with Toro Rosso 4th, and Mercedes in 5th. So Mercedes really haven't got off to the best start. Obviously, I am expecting them to really challenge us, Ferrari, later on in the season once they find their form again. McLaren Honda in 6th with Renault Sport in 7th, Red Bull 8th, Haas 9th, Manor 10th with their first 2 points, and Sauber in 11th. An interesting stat is here, guys, is that there's only 3 drivers that are yet to score points. Obviously, every team has scored points, but there are 3 drivers who are still yet to score. One of them is Marcus Ericsson in the Sauber, the other one is Rio Haryanto in the Manor, and the other one, interestingly, is Valtteri Bottas in the Williams. And despite that, Williams is still 2nd in the Constructors thanks to Felipe Massa's 53 points. So honestly, really didn't expect that at the beginning of the season. I really expected Valtteri Bottas to be challenging Felipe Massa, but obviously not. Bottas is really quite slow on this game, and today he made a mistake at the first stint, which sort of hampered the rest of his Grand Prix. But guys, if you have enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and comment your thoughts down below in regards to today's race, and maybe your thoughts on the Bahrain Grand Prix. And yeah guys, I will see you next time for a brand new video. Bye bye.